Both Richard and I would encourage you to listen to the words and the language that the ASN president just laid out before you, because it mirrors directly how we feel as patients and also as leaders of a national patient organization. An organization that was founded in 1969 by 6 patients and their doctors working together before anyone tried to define patient engagement, and who decided together that their receiving life-saving treatment for themselves wasn't enough, that they wanted to spread the word and to have it become an opportunity to live for millions of Americans yet to be diagnosed. And those individuals formed the American Association of Kidney Patients. By 1972, they were the pioneers, again with their doctors, in getting the legislation passed called the End-Stage Renal Disease, signed into law by Richard Nixon in 1973. But that very law, the ESRD, what you know so well, came from patients and doctors working together. Standing before you today, there are many things that we could say, and I'll say a couple that Richard and I have worked on together here, the many thank yous that we have. To Dr. Lederer, we'd say thank you. To your Executive Director, Todd Ibram, we say thank you. Ray Harris, Jonathan Himmelfarb, Sharon Moe, Bruce Molitaris, Ron Falk, Doug Johnson, John Cedor, Catherine Tuttle, and your staff, Rachel Myers, Ryan Murray, KHI, Melissa West, and of course, Zach, the Make It Happen guy on Capitol Hill. And to our many friends, Margaret Cuso, Prager Roy Chaudre, Steve Fadum, Ray Hakeem, and my own surgeon, Dr. Richard Fisher, Dr. Ann King, Todd Gear, all of MCV in Richmond, and at GW, Dr. Susie Liu, and my cardiologist, Dr. Jonathan Reiner, and at Georgetown, a man of many years ago who imparted me with great optimism, Dr. William Margate. Let me tell you this. 30 years ago on the coast of Maine, a young teenager was diagnosed with kidney disease. In a small town, he went home, didn't really know what it meant, and his father, who was a real tough guy in many ways, intellectually and physically, veteran of the Marine Corps, a veteran of the Navy, and a cold warrior for over 30 years for his country, sat down with him and said, you know, you gotta do 3 things. Obviously, you gotta get your act together, you gotta honor your faith, you have to serve your country, and you have to put yourself in service to those who are less fortunate. Well, that was 1980, and in 1997, a young man was struck down in a car accident, and he had made a decision to give his organs so that others might live. And in 1997, I got a kidney transplant after 2.5 years on dialysis. And with me today is that person. Because 2 young people were impacted by this episode and this journey of my life. Obviously, the decision of a young man saved my life in 1997 through a transplant. But I have to tell you this. Every life has purpose and every life has meaning. And to that particular young man, I'd like to read something that gave me great strength when I was young, and when I had gone back to see that tough guy, my father, a couple hours after he told me what kidney disease meant, that I'd have to change my career path. And to the young donor, I dedicate this, because this actually gave me strength when I saw that tough guy, my father, the Marine, the Navy veteran from World War II, and the proud cold warrior, breaking down in tears because he didn't know what my future would be. To my donor, I read this. The time you won your town the race, we cheered you through the marketplace. Men and boys stood cheering by, and home we brought you shoulder high. Today the road all runners come, shoulder high we bring you home, and set you at your threshold down, townsman of a stiller town. Smart lad to slip the times away from fields where glory does not stay. And early though the laurel grows, it withers quicker than the rose. Eyes the shady night has shut cannot see the record cut, and silence sounds no worse than cheers after earth has stopped the ears. Now you will not swell the rout of lads who wore their honors out, runners whom renown outran, and the name died before the man. So set before its echoes fade the fleet foot on the sill of shade, and hold below, lintel up, the still defended challenge cup. And round that early laureled head will flock to gaze the strengthless dead, and find unwithered on its curls the garland briefer than a girl's. You just heard the president of ASN tell you that the status quo of dialysis, we have to change it. And we have to change it because the solution to life cannot simply be a growing donor list. We cannot settle with the status quo of dialysis. The intellect, the drive, the egos, the things that get it done exist in this room and in this profession. And for me and for so many other people that have come before me, I thank you deeply. And I thank my donor and everyone who's loved me along the way. But I have to tell you, we can do better, you can do better. Nothing happens in America and nothing happens in government without being pushed. There's enough push in this room to make it happen. And you'll do it united by patients, just as it happened in 1969 to get a major law passed. We must keep driving for change. Thank you very much, my good friend and best friend, Richard Knight.
Thanks, Paul. I really appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. I'd also like to say ditto to the folks that Paul gave thanks to, and I'd also like to recognize our staff over at AAKP, led by our Executive Director, Gary Green. We have Diana Kleins, Deborah, Aaron, and Valerie. It is with their support that we're able to do the things that we're able to do out in the field. And I also want to thank my donor, living donor, Jamie Costas, who so kindly and unselfishly came up to me one day at a fundraiser and told me that she would give me a kidney. And I certainly was cautiously optimistic because you know what that means. They certainly have to go through the testing. And that happened, and here I stand today. And I'm proud to stand on the shoulders of those who have received the past awards. George Lopez, Representatives Marino, McDermott, and others who have helped lead the fight against this kidney disease. As was mentioned, I'm a transplant patient, 11 years out, this past October. I enjoy a great quality of life, but it's not always been that way for me. In retrospect, I realized that I've been dealing with CKD since 1996, when it was undiagnosed. And I happened to have crashed into dialysis in 2004. And after the fact, I learned that more than 60% of the people on dialysis go there via the emergency room. And it is my experience along that journey that really motivated me to do what I do today. And I like to think that I speak out for those who sometimes cannot speak for themselves. Those who are not on social media, those who are not included in stakeholder meetings, those minorities such as me who lose the use of their kidneys at a rate of 4-to-1 compared to whites. And that is something that we can change and we will change. And I'll close saying one last thing with respect to one of our areas of passion, which is patient engagement. I mention that area because patient engagement is not anything that's new. AAKP has been engaged in patient engagement when it wasn't cool since 1969. However, the commercialization of patient engagement is more of a recent phenomenon. We have those who have very good intentions who want to lead the charge to define patient engagement. We have summaries of meetings convened to assess what patients think, what they feel. Well, I submit to you that what we really need is action. We need to focus with a sense of urgency of now. I listened to the great insights that were just provided to us a few minutes ago, and there are so many things that we have available that can help us change. But one thing that we must continue to do, and it is you in this room that do a great job of doing that, and we have to continue to do that and more. The main thing that we must leave with our patients is a sense of hope that tomorrow can be much better than it is today. I thank you. I'm very honored to receive this award, and I wish everyone certainly all the best as we continue to engage in this fight. We continue together and we're certainly proud to serve with you as we fight against this disease. Thank you very much.
Don't want to read his